I've never met anyone in our industry in interior, in architecture, in engineering, or anything like that that isn't extremely passionate about what they do, that doesn't absolutely love what they do in some kind of capacity. So that's never the challenge. That's actually just something that almost we need to harness. We need to figure out how to harness it in the best way possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the next Beyond Interior Design podcast. And today we have Tyler Suomala. He's from Tyler Tactics and helping architects to communicate their unique value. And the way I was inviting him to the podcast is because we are on the same mission. We are trying to unlock the potential of creatives, to empower the creatives. And hey, listen, we are designers after all. We can design our own lives, is it? So he's on a mission to win projects that you love, with clients that you want, and for fees that you deserve. He's talking about sales, marketing, leadership, architecture, and business development. And I think we have a lot of commonalities with the interior design sector. So here he is, Tyler Suomala.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Definitely excited to speak with someone else with a shared mission for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad that you joined the podcast. Great, thank you for your time. Because I saw a lot of posts and messages the last few months on LinkedIn. That's our platform, our favorite platform, and well, it keeps me awake. Let's call it that way. It was sometimes you kick me in the ass. You kick a lot of creatives in the ass. You are going to waken them up. You are showing them a different perspective, maybe sometimes a complete other lifestyle. So I want to know, why are you doing this? Because we are sharing definitely the same frustration. So sometimes it's like, oh, he's so frustrated. What is it? But I know there's a big passion behind it. So tell me, why are you doing this? What's the goal?
Well, there's a lot that precedes it, right? I mean, I'm a former architect, right? And I now work kind of I work at Monograph now, which is on the technology side of architecture, but I speak to architects every single day about the challenges that they're facing in their practice, and kind of what preceded the massive amount of posts that I had last month, in December, really talking about these challenges and the lifestyle challenges that we have as architects and designers and interior designers. There was an 11-month build up, because I really started posting on LinkedIn about a year ago now, and so there was an 11-month build up of really understanding and making sure that the challenges that I faced in the industry are also pretty common among other people, right? So there was this kind of long winding path to understand. I certainly wasn't alone in the challenges, to helping other people realize that they're not alone in their challenges as well. And then to kind of just deploy in this, like, you could almost call it like an awareness campaign, right? There's so many things that we're doing that we have control over, and that we can begin to change, likely for the better. It's not so much, I think it's a lot easier to change what's happening outside of our professional lives first, right? To give more time and energy to that, and then that's certainly going to have a positive impact on what's happening inside of our professional lives as well.
So what do you mean? Are you talking about the private life, or?
I just mean that I'm more so talking about the balance, right? The balance between work and life, right? We generally, as designers, we're so passionate, right? I mean, I've literally never met anyone. I've never met anyone in our industry in interior, in architecture, in engineering, or anything like that that isn't extremely passionate about what they do, that doesn't absolutely love what they do in some kind of capacity. So that's never the challenge. That's actually just something that almost we need to harness. We need to figure out how to harness it in the best way possible, so that we're not focusing all of our energy on it at all times of the day, and so that we do actually have opportunities to step away, spend time with friends and family, and focus on these other things, so that when we come back to it, we're actually more energized, we're more ready to get this work done and to work productively.
So there is another life than interior design and architecture, but it's well, we are so passionate. We know you are going into a restaurant with your family.
Yep.
And you are looking to the ceiling, to the floor, to the walls.
You
Is
are.
it? Is it? Do you
No, this
recognize
is
that?
entirely true. This is entirely true. You see the world completely differently from the second you take your first or second course in university, right? You're automatically just so much more observant of what's happening in the world around you. And that part I think is good. Like I think that's good. It's more so the time that we're actually spending in there, like actively working on it, thinking about it is, I think, something different when we want to be more present in those moments that you're talking about, in the restaurant with our families. We want to be more present with them. But more so, we just want to spend like a little bit more time outside of the office, giving our brain some time to like rehabilitate itself, right?
Yeah.
And get that energy back for the next day or
Yeah, but how? I think it's hard because you have a project in your mind, and some people are searching
yes.
for inspiration, and you are, or maybe you need new projects. So what can you do to do we need a switch for that, or because you're talking about balance, and
Yeah.
sometimes it feels, if you're really fighting for balance in your life, it's like there are two worlds. And what
Yeah.
about this cool integration? And I'm playing with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe the whole my whole life, but I'm playing with it. Is it a balance, or is it a really cool integration that you don't have to put
Integration
this
is a fun
switch
word.
on? Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I think it depends on the person, right? So it's one of these things where there's not one right answer for anyone.
no,
My balance probably looks different than what other people see. I mean, married. I've been married to my wife for like 8.5 years. We were married when I was in undergrad. We were married through grad school as well, and through basically, the beginning portions of my professional career as well. So I had different things that I was focused on. I didn't, and she's not an architect, which is amazing. That
yeah,
helps me. That helps me step outside, right? So I had different things that I was focused on outside of architecture, and I think for me, like that's something that I always recommend, especially like during university and at the beginning of your professional career, is that you make plans outside of work, that you commit to those plans, whether that's going to get drinks with friends after work or something like that, and making that happen at like 6 p.m. Rather than at like 10 o'clock at night. You're getting those things done. So kind of forcing yourself to step away, making those commitments, and allowing like other relationships outside of that to flourish. But it really does depend on the individual. Everyone thinks differently about that, but I think it's really about, we just, even for the people that are trying, like you're trying to do more integration. I think I'm more about kind of separating those two areas more, and that's totally fine. But the issue is that we don't usually spend too much time actually like thinking internally about that, right? So we're
yeah,
like, we're more on what you were talking about at the beginning. It's like there's so many things to do. We have a project that's always in the back of our mind, and we're so focused on like actively working on that, actively getting it done, rather than taking a step back and thinking, okay, what is actually the most like productive way for me to tackle this? Productive and healthy way for me to tackle this, right? Like, should I just block off a couple of hours where I'm going to focus on researching on this for 2 hours, rather than trying to research at the same time that I'm getting work done, and then at 8 o'clock at night realizing that I'm still thinking about it because I didn't actually give myself the space to do the research and
yeah,
to come to more definitive decisions. So, there's different like productivity hacks
yeah.
productivity hacks in that, yeah, that you can use. But yeah,
You're a big fan of efficiency, is it?
I mean, I love efficiency, right? I mean, I love to-do lists. I love time blocks. I love trying to optimize, getting things done in a quicker way, because time is everything to us. That's all that we have. That's all that we have in this world is time, and managing it correctly is, to me, in speaking with like leaders all around, uh, at least the country here in the United States, architecture leaders, that are leading like large firms and doing these things. The thing that separates them from everyone else that I've spoken to so far is really, it's their time management. It's their ability to manage time in a healthy and productive way. I rarely talk to leaders that tell me that they've been pulling all-nighters for the the last 20 years of their lives, and that's how they got to where they are. It's usually, I've found it actually be the opposite. I've have a balance. I have a family that I'm focused on. I leave work at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and I encourage my team to do that as well.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds great. Yes, time is all we got. So, and the funny thing is, the most beautiful thing of our profession is the creative part for most of them. Of course, if you like efficiency, functionality, practicality, systems, processes, it can be nice too. But when you are really focusing on the creative process, then you hate when somebody's calling you. You are hating it when you have another email. You are
Sure.
hating it when you have to check all your inbox and answer all the emails. And if you don't, what I found out in the beginning, especially in the beginning and before I met Sven, my business partner,
Yeah.
he had all kinds of systems in place. And I definitely was not a fan of systems and IT and computer
Yeah.
and gadgets. Not my thing. When it works, yes. But then we were slowly integrating some cool stuff in there. So all the, well, repetitive tasks or things you just can do on autopilot, we created something for that to save us an amazing amount of time. And then it spared me a lot of time to spend on my clients, on building a meaningful relationship with it, to go more in depth, and the creative part, which I like so much.
Yeah. I mean, and you're also neglecting the fact that arguably the designing of those systems that you just, I mean, that's also using a lot of creativity, understanding how to make those automations and set up those systems as well, which is something that I didn't realize as much until I stepped, away from working directly like on my own studio with my own clients, and then into the technology field and kind of taking a step back, having a different perspective, and realizing, oh, I actually don't feel like I'm not like missing the design side or the creative side of my life. Like I'm still employing it like every single day with everything that I do. I'm just using it in a different way.
Yes. So you're telling me that actually designing your business, it's creative. It's using your creativity too. It is being creative.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I experience it in the same way, because I'm really looking forward. If I have something, or it's a problem or a challenge or something that it's repetitive, I'm like, how can we solve that? So I never ever have to do that again with all my energy and time, and I can just save it. So yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, you have to look within to find that. Like, I didn't actually realize until I stepped away. I was like, oh, I actually enjoy, like what you're saying. I enjoy designing the business portion. I enjoy thinking creatively about business development and marketing more than I enjoy the design elements of like actually designing like the building or the interiors. And so it took me some time to realize that. And I'm totally like, I'm comfortable with that. That's fine. I know that I'm actually I'm not the best designer in the world, and that's fine. There's people that are far better than me, and I'd rather focus on the elements that I'm passionate about and that fulfill me.
When changed that? When was it that critical moment? Did you say, "Hey, I love the other side of design"? Because did you always want to be an architect or a designer, or a police officer or a lawyer?
No, actually, no. I was definitely interested in architecture as a young kid, like in my early teens, probably. And then I was a good student, so naturally, like at least in the US, there's this issue where it's like, at the time we were getting like pushed in, oh, good students, like you should be a doctor, you should go into the medical field. So I started my undergraduate degree in pre-med studying neuroscience, and actually did that for 3 years until I took my first neuroscience until I took my first architecture course. And I was about 10 minutes into that course before, and that was just as an elective really to fill some space. And I was about 10 minutes into that course before I realized, wow, this is amazing. This is way more. This seems way more fun to me. It was a freehand drawing course. My professor, she's amazing. She was totally like, I was just totally enthralled with everything that she was saying about the perspective that we have in the world and things that we can watch out for, how we can recreate that on a page and things like that. So I was totally enamored by what she was saying, and I was locked in. And it wasn't long after that I applied for the architecture program at that school and ended up switching in my senior year basically into architecture.
Yeah. So this lady was showing you the beyond architecture world,
exactly
the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, but Well, you're an architect right now, and you love all these processes and designing your business because it's a way to use your creativity too. And that's really nice because a lot of creative people that want to design buildings or interiors, they are always busy with all the samples or coloring, really the let's call it the artist side. But they forget how great it can be if you have some systems and processes and or designing methods in place that you can go way more in depth, and that you can get can create way more creative freedom for yourself when you have designed it, when it's there for you to support you in a way, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you just need to take time to actually do that, because
Yeah.
the vast majority of my day right now is speaking with architects that are in the mode that you're talking about, where essentially they run, they're a principal. Like, I'm usually speaking to design leaders, right? They're a principal at an architecture firm or an interior design firm or an engineering firm, and they've just gotten themselves in this position where they actually don't really have any idea what's going on in their business. They don't have a clear understanding of it because they don't really want to focus on it, because they've got so much work to do. They've got so many clients to work on. They want to be focusing on their designing, right? And so they
always the excuse. Yeah.
Always, absolutely.
Or they
That's
tell
always
you
what's happening.
it's no, sorry, I'm too busy for that. I'm too busy. And I'm like, hey, you save yourself so much time. So if you have the marketing part already, you have enough projects and leads. It's great. So please design your business in a way that you can save a lot of time for you. Or they are not busy at all and they are focusing on something else.
Yeah.
What's in your opinion, what's the other focus?
I think it's usually it's not, I don't come across them. I don't know. How often do you come across someone saying that they're not busy in this field? It's basically like never. I almost never come across someone telling me that. No, but it's usually they're busy.
Let's call it busy and and successful. Busy and successful, or busy and efficient are different things.
Yeah, it's like busy. They're busy because what they've done is they haven't taken time to set up these systems that you're talking about, right? So in the meantime, what they've done, because they're not aware of what's happening in their business, they don't actually know how much work they need. They haven't thought about their fees in a long time. That just means that they're kind of almost like they're like spraying and praying, right? I want to get every project that I can. Anyone that's interested in me, if I have a client that's interested in me, I'm going to grab them. I want to do work for them now. And so then what happens? I have too much work for myself, and I have too much work for my team, and everyone's starting to get burnt out because we're all working long hours and we're all doing too much because we haven't taken time to actually understand, hey, what kind of clients do we want to work with?
Yeah.
And do we actually have the capacity to take on this project? And is it worth it for us? And do they value us enough to pay us a higher fee so that we can work with less clients, still continue working 40 hours a week, and not have to worry about burning out our team, and also, losing out on the talent that we have on our team?
Yeah, good that you tell that, because that made a big change in our firm, in our Master of Interior Design firm, that when we are kind of choosing and selecting and filtering our clients, so good, because we know exactly who was who paid a lot of attention to our methods and our vision and how we see the world as designers, and they want to be part of that. They want to believe what we believe. They want to, we could create what, because
and it makes it so much easier, right? Because you don't have to spend that. You don't have to spend that mental energy up front convincing them that they should care about these things.
Yeah, because this convincing part, and that's what, in my opinion, a lot of interior designers and creatives and architects hate. It's called selling. They think selling is convincing, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No,
is that what you're saying?
I agree. It's not. But they a lot of people think it's selling. It's about convincing something that they need to work with you. And if you see it that way, it's so hard, because you're telling actually the wrong story, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually framed completely incorrectly, right? So you have a client, you have a prospective client that's talking to you, and you're like, before you even really understand what they're focused on, you're already trying to kind of see where their threshold is at in terms of like what their interest is relative to your interest, right? Like, are they actually interested in design? Like, am I going to have enough flexibility in this to actually do what I want, right? So you're thinking,
Yeah.
I mean, I made this mistake a gazillion times when I was running my own studio, right? Like I'm just thinking inwardly, like I just want someone to come to, I want the perfect client to me is the one that's just going to hand me like $1 million and say, all right, go design my house
So you're
for me.
searching, you were searching investors for your portfolio.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. You just, but
Yeah.
you're kind of trying, rather than understanding what their challenges are and what their values are, you're flipping it around and you're thinking about, hey, can they actually offer me what I want? When usually the best case scenario is that you do it the other way, right? You're asking them, you're kind of doing a qualification process for them and helping them become aware of what challenges they're having that's leading them to want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on whatever this project is that they want to do, because people don't just wake up one morning and say, you know what I want to do? I want to, I want to redesign the entire interior of my house and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's not,
No,
people
it's
don't
not
just like
happening
wake up and
overnight.
decide that. Yeah,
No.
right. So what are the pains and the challenges that's leading them to do that? And then it's really about like flipping that. And that's where your value component comes in, right? Because after you understand their challenges and understand what they're facing and what their situation is, then you can frame those design components and those things that you care about in the language that in a language that they're going to understand, right? You
So
can you could
you're
say
raising the value. You're raising the value of the design
you're
of you.
raising your value, yeah,
Yeah.
because you're talking about it in terms that they care about. We care about like design in general, right? We want to choose the best furniture or the best materials, right? We want to have full purview over like, bringing as much natural light in or doing cantilevers, anything. Like we just want those components. But what they care about is something completely different usually, right? Like they probably just want like a kitchen that's large enough for their whole family to gather in one place or something, or a
Yeah.
kitchen where they don't have to keep on running into people. And it's like, so you have to understand, what challenges they're having in their own language and
And
repeat it
what
back to them.
what they prioritize. Is it about
Yeah, absolutely.
functionality, about aesthetics, about creating those moments together, or yeah.
And you have to make sure that those are aligned, right? That your interests and their interests are aligned. But I think it's better to do it that way, right? You have to understand their situation, because if you just come in right away and you start pitching yourself like in your design interest right away, probably like more often than not, they're probably going to be like a little bit resistant to that, right? Because they haven't even had a chance to talk about what challenges they're
Mhm.
having. So you might actually be pushing away like high quality clients, um, and you don't even realize that they're high quality because you haven't taken time to understand that more.
Yeah, we tell our members beyond the Interior Design Club, like it's more important that they feel understood than
Hmm.
they understand you. But
Right.
how?
Yeah. 1000%. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but how do you make sure upfront? Because that's the best scenario, that people know that you are the right architect, right designer for them. How can you solve that thing? Because a lot of creatives are like, they have, when they have a request, they just say yes, like they told you. They just take
Right.
everything they can, and let's find out if it's a nice or awesome person. Let's find out how much they want to pay. Let's find out
Right.
if it will go smoothly or not. If I
Right,
can,
right. Yeah, you find out in the moment, like when it's happening, right?
yeah.
You're
And
like
then it's
halfway
like,
through a project and realize that client is terrible. Yeah,
that's not called a plan, and
yeah,
you're running a business. You don't want to, it's not gambling. You can make sure that it is a good person. So how can you do that up front? What do you need to do to attract the right clients that are
I mean,
believing in what you believe,
yeah,
that value the same design principles? Because for example, the functionality part, if you're a
yeah,
really functional designer, you need to communicate that. But if you're definitely not, and you're focusing on aesthetics, you don't want this guy or woman in front of you that's asking,
yeah,
and how does this work, and how
yeah,
does this
yeah.
work, and I don't care about
Sure,
the color. Yeah, you have a
sure.
problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, to be fair, there's almost always going to be an educational relationship between you and your client, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole point of them hiring professional services, right? I mean, you are a professional, so for sure, there's probably going to be moments where you have to explain why in your case, why like this piece of furniture or this color is a far better option than whatever one they're thinking about or maybe attracted to. So that never stops. But in terms of what you were talking about before, like how do we make sure that the clients we're getting are right for us? I mean, it's a qualification process, right? I mean, I'm sure that
Yeah.
and that's just setting up a qualification process, which can be as simple as usually 1 or 2 meetings. The first meeting is to understand them, understand what challenges they're having, kind of what are their pain points, and talking, maybe talking briefly about what it is that you do and how you can help to solve that. And then it's taking a step away, kind of reviewing your notes, talking with your team, seeing if this is something that you think you'd be interested in, and then it's setting up a second meeting to then walk through what that process would look like if they wanted to work with you, right? And kind of like basically walking through the proposal for them. Hey, you mentioned that these were the challenges that you're having. This is how we've solved those challenges in the past. You can see examples of it with our clients X, clients Y, clients Z here. If you'd like to work with us, here are your options for working with us. It's kind of like, you don't want to persuade them. I hate that word. I hate the word persuasion, right? You don't
Yeah.
want to persuade anyone to work with you. You want to be upfront. You want to be honest about exactly what it's going to look like, exactly what this working relationship is going to be. And if you've done well kind of in that discovery process and in that qualification process to understand what their challenges are, and you've also shown them a solution that's probably unique because your competitors aren't doing this, most likely, like they're doing the pitch thing up front, telling
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
exactly what they do, then they're going to feel heard, they're going to feel understood. And if there's an alignment of values, then they're going to want to work with you. Like it's going to be a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long, long time ago that I started my first meeting by showing my portfolio. I never
Hmm.
showed it again on the
Hmm.
first meeting. I assumed they saw it online. Sometimes they didn't. They just heard the story, but so I never showed prospects my portfolio again. It's actually really strange because that's how I started. I was so
Yeah.
proud of my first project.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
look what I can, look what I did, and I was telling the whole story. And then at the end, would you like to buy my design? Can I have the assignment, please?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is all, I mean, that's also what prevents a lot of young designers from going to start their own thing, right? Because they feel as though
yeah,
they need a portfolio. Honestly,
yes,
any young designer that's listening to this right now, if you learn how to communicate effectively, if you learn how to ask really good questions, if you learn how to understand the challenges that your clients are having right now, and you can come up with reasonable solutions for them, there's nothing stopping you from getting work today.
yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I totally agree because it's a really frequently asked question. I don't have a portfolio yet. How do I start?
Yeah.
So you're telling you don't need a portfolio. You need the right questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
you need a
I
kind of vision, or what story you can share? How do you raise your
I
own?
mean, you
How
could
do you
have a
show
vision.
it? Yeah.
I think the first thing you should do if you're thinking about kind of starting your own practice in any way, shape, or form is have as many conversations as possible. Almost, I would even say have as many failed conversations as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like try to get, excuse me, like try to get as much work as you can. Find 10 to 20 people that are interested in your services, have conversations with those 10 to 20 people, be really observant about, like, what are the common challenges that they seem to be facing. Are you doing, if you're doing interior design, is the most common challenge that you're hearing that it feels like, people are walking all over one another inside their home or something like that, or that the office isn't as productive as they think it could be within the space. You're going to hear like repeatable themes and repeatable topics. And if you're actually doing that in an aware way, if you're tracking it, if you're taking notes of these things, you're going to walk away from those conversations having a very good understanding, especially relative probably to even what firms are that have been around for 10 or 20 years or something like that. You're going to have a very good understanding of what those challenges are, and then you can begin to kind of craft your messaging around what those challenges are, assuming obviously that you have the ability to kind of execute on that, right? You don't want to do something that you that you can't do. um,
No.
but uh, but yeah, it's to me, it's like 90% understanding what those client challenges are, and understanding what the right solution is to it, and it's 10% execution and ability.
Your advice is go on the journey, test it out,
Test it out.
see what's happening.
Yeah, get told no a
What?
lot. Get told no a lot and ask
Yeah,
them why.
yeah, and yeah, just take the first next step. That's it.
Yeah.
Dive into it, and don't
Yeah.
don't look at this full picture that is going to happen to you, or might happen to
Right.
you, or is not happening to you. You never know.
Yeah.
Just take
Yeah.
the first next step.
We're not told as much, and we probably don't even see it maybe that much if whether we're working in the field or whether we're focused on, what we were taught in school. We're not told so much about not getting work, right? We don't, it's like something
Yeah.
that we don't talk about.
No.
But just, I mean, statistically, you're not getting probably more than 50% of the work that you're pursuing, like most of the time. And that's just true across the board. I mean, your firms probably, you might be winning 25%, 35. I mean, 35% would be an incredible win rate, so you're putting a lot in, and you're not alone in getting no. I mean, you shouldn't be afraid to hear it, because that doesn't mean that you're missing out on a project. To me, that means that you have more room available to work with clients that actually value you.
Yes, that's true. And you have, when you're a good listener, you have many more information and so much more clarity why they didn't choose you.
Right.
So you can define why you don't want this person again, maybe, because you can end up with somebody at the table like, maybe I need the deal, maybe I need the money, but imagine how the process will look like with a person you don't like, or is not on the same page as you are in a design.
Oh, it's way worse. Yeah, don't do it. I'm sure that everyone listening on this podcast has probably experienced that in some capacity and can tell you, yeah, it's not worth it.
No, that's part of the first trial and error process. Just try it, but most of the time, you know already what it is, because it happens to you. You don't have developed your radar yet.
Right.
All the problems coming up, even afterwards say, yeah, well, this guy was, I had to know this. I could, like a fortune teller. Now you can know how it will end up with a person like that, with a character like that. Yeah,
that's right.
But hey, because we are passionate about interior design, architecture. We have together, we have the power to design our world. That's what we're telling it, the Institute of Interior Impact. And actually it is, because we have in our opinion, we are a really important shackle in a long chain between the consumers and the manufacturers. We have the ability to translate emotions, to translate, to come up with solutions, inventions, new materials, sustainability. There's so many topics that we have a lot of power actually in that process. And sometimes it looks like we're just the people that are designing beautiful stuff. But there is an important fact. But is it really what's the impact we are making as architects, as designers? What is it? Or are we just so passionate about it and we think it's the world?
I mean, it's the built environment, right, which we all occupy. So that value is that's immense. You're having actionable impact on the way that people are using the space around them, right? I mean, that's extremely important. I mean, we know obviously as designers, like, how important like natural light is to improving like your mental health or things like that, or how important just having spaces or using space productively or efficiently. Those have actual like returns on your lifestyle, or on the lifestyle of the people that are using this space. So I think it's just about understanding the different types of ROI, the different types of return on investment, right? Usually we think about return on investment in financial terms, right? If you hear ROI, you're thinking, okay, the client's going to put this much money into it, and they're actually going to walk away, hopefully, with more value.
Like a cash machine.
Right. With something that's worth more than what they put into it. Like, that's the goal. And that's true. Like, clients do care about that, and you should be aware of what that number is too. It's important to tell them what that is. But that's not the only type of ROI, right? There's also
it's easy to measure. If you're talking about figures, about numbers.
Figures. Like, you should understand. Like, I mean, just at a rough level, hey, this is going to, like, client, this is going to be what you're going to invest. This is going to be the final value, and this is our fee, right? And all of those things should align in a way that looks positive for the client, ideally. Like, and if you want to be like clear about that, because that's great. It really helps to alleviate any concerns that they have about your fee, right? But that's just one type of ROI. There's also the lifestyle ROI. We're talking about people that might not have enough space to actually gather their entire family and their home, for example, or something like that. And you're going to be able to make a huge impact on their lives just by, having enough space to gather their family or to do, to do these things that they want to do. This is related to those things that you're uncovering in the qualification process to better understand what challenges they're having. But essentially, like, they have a current situation, they have an ideal situation, right? And you are the vehicle to get them from point A to point B. And you can't forget about that. Like that, those are huge impacts that you're having on their life, huge positive impacts that you're having on their life. And the last one is just like mental ROI, right? We're talking about, um, you know, having a positive impact on their mental health in different ways. Likely, I mean, you can talk about just one. Hey, you're not going to have to worry about, you're not going to have to wake up being annoyed about not having enough room, in your kitchen anymore. Like
Yep.
that's a huge thing, right? Because these people, they wake up for years before they decide to do this project, right? And they're getting annoyed every single morning in their kitchen, for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
or in the relation, in the family. Where
Yeah,
did
right,
you,
right.
why did you put your
Yeah,
backpack over there? I lost my keys. Where's my
right. Yeah,
why
there's
you
not enough
always put
storage space. Like
your work case?
everything's dirty. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's huge. That's huge.
yeah,
Like we can't, like, you can't undersell that. That kind of impact that it has. Not to mention just the mental ROI if you're good at your job, of the lack of kind of concern that they have to have during the process, right? If you're good at managing this project, in a way that keeps them informed and also like reduces their risk, reduces their cost. There's a lot of different things. Like basically, there's a lot of risks that you can reduce as a good professional, to help make their lives a lot easier during the process and after it. If you do it well, you're talking about reduced cost on maintenance, for example,
yeah.
from doing those things. So, I mean, these all have huge, like, just extended ROIs far beyond, just the completion of the project. So you can't
It's
forget
it's
about those
it,
when you're talking about it. Yeah.
yeah. You're talking about this ROIs. It's definitely when you are an architect, you are building big structures, you're working with bigger budgets. That's
Right.
definitely the part. But that's in interior design, we're talking more about emotions and taste and style
Yeah.
and the aesthetics. But
Yeah.
the problem is, if you're just talking about style and aesthetics, I think if you want to raise your value, you need to show them, you need to talk about, to communicate the other ROIs, that when you are finished, how does their life look like?
Yeah.
What can you solve for
Paint
them?
paint the picture. Yeah. You
Yeah,
have to paint the
because
picture.
yeah, if they think you're a designer and you're just going to make it beautiful, how do you expect that people want to pay you a lot? Well, I know a lot of
Yeah.
interior designers that make only beautiful stuff. If you
Right.
see it, you know for sure it's not working, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. People that love to pay you just for the aesthetics and they think you are the best designer in the world,
Yeah.
that's your target audience. Great.
Yeah.
But if you want
Yeah.
to raise your value and you are in your head, you are so busy with all these small details and practicalities, functionality, but they don't see it because it's hard. We are showing pictures most of the
Yeah.
time. Our portfolio, our things.
Yeah.
Look at Instagram. That's why I don't hate Instagram, but it's hard to tell a story or to start a
It's image
conversation.
culture for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It's an image culture, yeah, and it's definitely not the story beyond and behind interior design and architecture.
Yeah.
You want to know why it looks like that and not how it looks like, is it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're going to win more clients and better clients if you don't try to sell them on design, and if instead you focus on telling them a story. And they're essentially the hero in the story, right? You're walking them through their current situation. You're describing how you're going to, and like how you're the vehicle to get them, from that situation now to exactly that ideal outcome that you uncovered, before.
Yeah. So if you can show them their current situation, if you make them aware that
Yeah.
most of the time it works really well. If you see some things going on in the interior design or around the house,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
hey, why is that there? And
Yeah.
how can you work with that? And oh, I never thought about it, or I never. Hey, or if you talk about this maintenance part, I had a client that was all the window frames. They were so the paint was blathering and it looked so bad. They were saying, well, when was the last time that the painter came by? And they say, oh, we are not already seeing that anymore. We don't see it anymore. We're over it.
We don't even notice it.
Yeah. So you know that it took them years to make the next step to the new home. And if you talk about maintenance, they want definitely this maintenance-free home. But the problem was they were talking the whole time about a beautiful house and creating those moments and not talking about the maintenance. But the maintenance was they would like to spend a lot of money for functionalities and maintenance-free interior design. And you know, that's what I really like.
You have to, they have to become aware of it themselves. It doesn't work as well if you're saying, hey, I'm seeing these are the 10 problems that I saw in your home.
It could be.
You know, what are your challenges? No, instead it's like ask them up front, like you have to uncover up front, like what is the challenge? Like why do you want to work with an interior designer? What's wrong with your current home? Right. And start from there. And then it's almost like every time you hear a trigger word, right? So it's like, you know, I get annoyed every single day because the kids' toys are like all stacked up like in our living room. Then it's like, okay, that's like I heard a trigger word there. I heard she's like that's an emotion, right? They're annoyed about something. Let's dive a little bit deeper in that. You know, like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about like why are the kids' toys there? Why aren't they stored away somewhere else? Oh, well, we don't have any storage. We kind of have to like tuck them underneath the couch or something like that. Okay, well, why don't you have any storage? Because all of our storage is used up by like all, you know, it's like you just follow that trail all the way down to understand what those challenges are every time you hear a little bit of a trigger word, and you're going to walk away with 5 or 6 just giant pain points that your client has that you can walk through, you know, that you can include in that story that you're telling.
Yeah, it sounds bad that you're looking for those pain points, but it is they don't know. You have to ask back again. You have to ask those questions, and well, what I do is maybe you can ask 7 times why, and you will get to the moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you might have to ask 7 times.
Why do you want to have this storage? Because then the kids can store their toys. And why do you want that? Because then I don't have to clean up my room when the kids go to bed. I don't have to tell them that they have to do it, or I don't have to do it. Why? Yeah, then I can spend some time. I have more free time. Why do you want it? Well, I can spend more time with my husband or my wife. Why do you want that? Because we have such a busy lifestyle. Why do you have such a busy lifestyle? Because the house is not working for you guys. The house is not working. You are working for your house.
Right.
Let's just catch an example. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you take them down that why trail to really understand, like until you get to that final point. Like, what is their final outcome? In that case, right? They just want to spend more time, like with their family rather than like cleaning up the house.
And it's then you're going so much more in depth, literally in depth, because you ask 7 times why, but you are on this emotional level about why they really want that, because it's really rational to think, well, I need more storage. Yes, you can buy a closet. Why do you need me?
I mean, what you want is your client to walk away from that meeting thinking, wow, I had no idea that my current situation was having this much of an impact on me. Like, you kind of want them to be thinking that and being like, well, I'm thankful that they helped like bring this to my attention. And they're going to be thinking about like, wow, they actually care about me. They care about the challenges that I'm having, so that when you do have that next meeting and you're saying, hey, we talked about, you know, these challenges that you're having. This is exactly how we're going to, you know, solve those challenges.
Yeah, and imagine they have invited more designers at the table.
Right.
And they are showing their portfolio.
Right,
and they're
exactly.
Them, look how good I am. Look how beautiful it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah, it's a use there, but that's how you win projects that you love, with clients that you want, and for fees that you deserve. Because this is how you raise your value. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Well, great, Tyler. I loved it. You make them. I think we've made a lot of creatives, architects, designers aware of that. Although we would like to talk about our passion and about interior design and materials and colors and all the experience and emotions around it, there is a way to get to that point And it's a better way to get to that point with asking the right questions and showing them in the first part to how you can solve their solutions, and then going much more in depth on why it's so important to solve that. Because
Absolutely.
a lot of, and we all know that people don't know what they want. They can tell you, I like that, I love that, that's beautiful. And most of the time they say what they don't like.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
So if you can get to that level, and you need to design some cool stuff in your business for that, some creative tools to do, that you never ever have to think about it again. It's just working for you, those processes. You can get to the core as fast, as deep as possible, is it?
Yes, chase down those pain points, figure out what's going on. My shameless plug would be that if you sign up, if you go to tylertactics.com and sign up for my newsletter, in my welcome email, I have like my 3 or 4 most popular issues that I've done so far. One of them is called Panic at the Disco, which just means like panic at the discovery call, right? That qualification process, where I walk through step by step exactly the things that you can do to ensure that you're finding those challenges in your client, and that you have like a productive meeting in that very first call that you have with prospective clients.
Yeah, great. Well, for your target audience is really architects, engineers?
Architects, engineers, designers. Yeah.
All right, cool. So now, well, I really encourage you to do that. Subscribe at tylertactics.com. I'm subscribed as well. Every Sunday morning I get some tips, and it's really cool to see your to follow your what's going on in your mind and what you like to share with the world. It's free, and it will definitely give you the right mindset to take some action on the things you don't like, and that you can solve sometimes in a split second.
Yeah, in less than 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't make them long. I keep them short because you all are busy, right? So gotta make quick impacts here.
Yeah, it makes the job even more beautiful than it is already. So design your life, design your business.
Do it. Design it,
Do it.
And check out what you guys are building over there. Check out what Mark and Sven are building, because that's a really cool membership and program that they're doing. It's going to help improve your business for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, well, Tyler, well, we will follow each other, definitely, because we're on the same mission. The universe will tell us what's going to happen next. We will definitely meet again. We will see what's going on here. Thank you for talking about about beyond interior design, about beyond our passions, all the things around it, behind it, in it, how to solve it, tweak it, test it, and design it to make life even more great, and make our profession even more great.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it.
Good luck, Tyler. All the best.
All right, see ya.
Wow, that was definitely beyond interior design. Tyler already invited you to Tyler Tactics, but if you even want to connect further, leave your comments or anything else to share. We've created a special landing page for that. Please go to instituteofinteriorimpact.com/Tyler. That's Tyler. Tyler. Until we meet again.